this whānau here behind us, I'll just start off where in Gisborne we had Captain Cook come to Gisborne. So they wanted to celebrate 250 years since Captain Cook came to Aotearoa and colonised us and discovered us. That was the whole plan of giving Captain Cook there. We had to sit around and we were just going, what? So we thought 250 years of colonisation and the aftermath. So what is the aftermath? The aftermath to us is what I'm talking about now. We're getting our kids taken, we're talking about suicide, we're talking about addictions, we're talking about so many kaupapa. And that's what 250, our group is all about, bringing in all those kaupapa under the one umbrella and putting it out to us all. So we're going to be talking, giving a little bit of kōrero about the different kaupapas that we do. Okay, kia ora whānau.
Kia ora whānau, ngā mihi atu kia koutou. Ko Marius tōku ingoa. Kei ko nei e tūranga wau no Waitangi o te marae ngō Ngāti Hine te iwi. I was an organiser of the 250 Colonization Rōpū. And that rōpū was put together specifically to deal with the flotilla and the arrival of the replica Endeavour to Turanganui-a-Kiwa. The tupuna that had been killed at the time of the first arrival of the Endeavour to the coast were mine, on my tūranga whakapapa line. We've talked many times about the government's ignorance and the colonialist ignorance to ignore our people's customary and treaty rights. It just seems to be going straight over their heads. Today we've come here, we've travelled from Te Arawa, and we've also travelled from Tairāwhiti and Whanganui. We would like to talk to our people, and that's all our people, about the impacts of the aftermath of colonisation. Some of our whānau may already have an idea, and I'm sure when you've been to many of these events here on Waitangi, we know what that looks like. It's not you this message is for. It's for those that don't understand the impacts it's had on us. A lot of the issues that we've talked about today are all going to lead back to the same issue and the same problem, and that is the colonialist government. We bring with us today a number of take, but not all we can speak to. I take my hat off to one of our predecessors, Annette. When you give her the floor, she cleans it up for us before we even get there. And that's the good thing about following wahine Māori that have a staunch approach to keeping our people's rights in place and the government to account. We must have them, we must keep them in check, and we must follow our direction as a people to lead our nation, or we will never get the sovereignty we want. In saying that, today I look on the panel, and aside from our mokopuna who came on that protest with us, I'm here with a lot of our men, and a lot of our men are our brothers, our leaders, our nephews, our fathers, our uncles that have been affected by the justice process in an ineffective way. Rather than us talk about what we want for them, it was an invite to bring my brothers and my whanaungas here to tell us what they think we should be doing for them. And if we're not doing it, we need to do it collectively and as a nation. We also consider the fact that there are so many different take that we're also always going to be kept busy. We can't focus on one because there's so many. But what we can do is focus on the offender. And in this particular case, we need to focus on colonialism. We thank all of those leaders before us that have been mentioned, those that have been on the stage today prior to us arriving, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have the opportunities many of us do today to carry out those issues and start fighting for our rights as Māori. They are our leaders, they should be acknowledged, they will be acknowledged, and they will be the legacy for ones like myself who are new to go forward and be the succession plans with a lot of our whānau. So I would like to introduce first Tāne Puru, and he will talk to you about his kaupapa. And we also have our Pūwhakamua Rōpū, who deals with a lot of our men in terms of incarceration and a number of members. I think to keep this short, we need to take some action. We need to come here with solutions, and we may actually have some for you. Kia ora.
Kia ora. My name is Tāne Puru, and I was a victim of a justice system that was built by Pākehā, and it works for Pākehā and does not work for Māori. What do I mean by that? I was treated like a criminal. Now, I suppose at the time I was playing up on that, but I actually didn't want to go back to jail. I actually wanted to stay out of jail. And because of the justice system that was built, from the police to the officers in prison, to the lawyers, to the judge, from day one when I was in that justice system, they weren't trying to help me. They wanted me to stay in jail. They treated me like a criminal. And because of that, I thought I was a criminal. But I forgot that I was a father. I forgot that I was a son. And I was a brother. I'm a whānau member. So that's how they treated me. They treated me like a gang member, and I forgot who I really was. So back in 2018, we had a summit in Porirua, where Jacinda Ardern stated that the justice system they have at the moment is not working. And then Zach Wallace, he got up and said that the Treaty of Waitangi needs to be honoured. He got up and said that in force, really hard out. Zach Wallace, who's not with us today. Now, what happened then? Auntie Katie, she got up and was able to get a summit for Māori to get together and for Māori to come up with solutions that will help Māori and to help us go forward. Now, Rōpū was created in Ngāia Tonu Nei, which means the time is now. The time is now. We want action now, not later. 2040, I don't know if we're going to be alive then. But anyway, in Ngāia Tonu Nei means we want action now, which means everyone incarcerated in that system should be taken out of that system, or to give Māori a chance to make up a system which will work for Māori and which will help Māori and which will help Māori stay out of prison and keep us out of the institutions. That was the Rōpū I was with in Ngāia Tonu Nei. Well, that was back in 2018, 2019. Nothing's happened. So, I changed. Now I'm with the 250 years colonisation. Why is that? Because I feel that Ngāia Tonu Nei was a fraud, from the government to get ideas from us so they can do what they want from our ideas. So I am now involved with the 250 years colonisation to now revive our reo, to revive our heritage, reconnect with our people and return our land. Because I'm not a criminal, I'm not a gang member, I am Māori, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm not a criminal. So I feel that the justice system has to be changed. They have to let Māori come up with a system that will work for Māori and which will help Māori keep us out of prison and in institutions. Also, the gangs. I feel that the gangs are here to stay, so we should be supporting the gangs to help sort out the gang, especially with the methamphetamine epidemic. Now, that's all I have to say, but one thing I would like to say is behind the strong man, there's a stronger wahine. Kore. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Billy. Billy McFarlane is the tutor for the Pūwhakamua program.
Muri ora tātou. Ko ngā kupu tuatahi ki tō tātou nei matua ko Zach Wallace. I mati ai tērā tau, nā tēnei kaupapa I whakawhāriki hia. Anō reira me mihi atu ki a ia. Ngā mihi oki ki a rātou mā, kua wehi atu ki te pō. Rātou ngā tini mate, ngā tini whanau o tēnā o tātou. Anō reira ngā tini mate, aha koa, kua tāwhiti atu koutou I a mātou I mahu I mai. Kei te mautonu, ngā kokono te nākau ki te koingo. Nō reira me mihi tonu ki a koutou, a haere koutou, ohi atu rā. Ka tāhuri ki tēnei taha ki a tātou, ngā muri hua rātou mā mauriora ki a tātou. Ko Waitangi McFarlane tōku ingoa I tipu ake a hau I Ōwhata, I Rotorua, he uri o Ngāti Pikiao. I te nui ingoa tōku oranga I noho au I roto I ngā whare here here huri no I te motu. I ahau I reira, I ahau I roto I te whare here here a nāwha, I ako ahau ki te kōrero Māori, I ako hoki ahau ki te whakaako te reo Māori. Nō reira ko I tēnei wā, I tēnei rā, ko tōku nei mahi a he mahi pauako mo te reo I Rotorua. Ko tōku nei tino are a ko te mea āwhina me te tautoko nā tangata I roto I ngā whare here here. Rātau e pēhingia tonu ane ngā ture o te kawanatanga. Nō reira me mihi atu ki a rātau mā. Rātau e noho tonu nei I roto I ngā whare here here, ngā whare Waitangi, ngā whare hauoro huri huri noa, a ko tēnei te mihi aroa ki a rātou mā. Me mihi hoki ki Moana Jackson, me koto tētahi o tōku kai ako pono, me tōku whanaunga Annette, nā rāua a hau I whakaawe ki tēnei kaupapa, nō reire me mihi atu ki a rāua. O reti ki te kōrero I whakapuake mai a Annette, me tāhuri ki te reo Pākehā. Nā te mea, ko te mea nui ko te māramatanga o te katoa, nō reira ki a koutou e marama ana tēnei kōrero Māori, tēnei te mihi motu hake ki a ko te katoa, ki a kaha tonu, whaia tonu ki tō tātou rei reo, ki a kore ai tātou e naro, nō reira mauri ora ki a tātou. Mauri ora whānau. My name is Billy McFarlane, born and raised in Rotorua. I've got a Māori father and a Pākehā mum. I've been colonised for all my life. I've been colonised for 56 years. How do I even explain that? Probably 7 years ago, I wouldn't have even acknowledged that because I didn't know. I just thought that I was Billy McFarlane, a half-caste Māori. I was a sportsman when I was young, and my dad taught me to be very good at winning because losing didn't come into the picture. My dad taught me that I must win and be the best at everything that I can do. And that was about the only guidance I got from him. So unfortunately I started winning and being the best that I could do at a whole lot of stuff that wasn't legal. And I found myself racing the police when I was 14 years old. I found myself beating the police up when I was 17 years old, and I found myself in prison for half of my life. In 2011 I was sentenced to 14 years in prison for drug offending, and while I was in there I threw my colonised toys out of the cot, and I decided to turn my face into and my mind to our tikanga Māori to look for a way out of the hole that I was living in. I spent my first year in maximum security trying to work with some of the men in there that were in a far worse position than me. I spent 6 months at Te Wānanga Takiura in Onehunga before I was locked up, and so I had started to do a little bit of a te reo journey. But when I got locked up in maximum security, I tried to support some of the other men that were looking for culture, and I started to write karakia for them, and I got a job pushing the mess trolley around, sneaking kupu Māori in under the doors for the men, and I got in trouble. I asked the staff if I could help the men in there who were looking for cultural stuff, and they said, no, you can't do it. You can't continue to do that, you'll be charged and put in the pound. So anyway, I cried out, I need to get out of this dump, and I was lucky. About 6 months later, I secured a transfer to Ngāwha prison. I moved up to Ngāwha prison in 2012, and I was fortunate enough to meet my old friend Brownie Mani. Brownie Mani had spent time with me in maximum security, and for you guys who don't know Brownie, it's a long story. For you guys who do know Brownie, it's a great story. Brownie has inspired me back then to change my life. He was doing a life sentence, and my 14-year sentence looked like nothing compared to what he had. He inspired me to embrace our culture, and Brownie continues to support me to this day. When I got up to Napa prison, Brownie found out I was up there, and he came into my unit, and I was in a high security unit. He spoke to management about bringing me into the youth unit in Napa, into the care unit. And so I had the opportunity to move into that unit, and I became an adult mentor for the young men between 18 and 25 years old. So I've got a strong connection here with Ngāpuhi because my journey started here. Many of the young men up here that I worked with were from here and have Ngāpuhi connections. And so I must say it's a privilege for me to be here today to speak to some of you whānau of those men, and also mana whenua of this land. It is a privilege for me and my men to be on this whenua and to speak to you and hopefully share some of our stories. So thank you very much. I spent four and a half years in prison learning the reo. I started developing my own methods when I was up in Napa, so I was working with men who never really went to school. So I got a little bit of help from a guy up here called Sailor Epiha. If any of you know him, I have to acknowledge Sailor. And while I'm at it, I also want to acknowledge Katerina Mataira and Noi Waitangi, and also Rahira Shortland, who became my mentor for a little while and helped me along the journey on. And all of those people who have been influential in rejuvenating our reo, I want to acknowledge them today. So after spending 4.5 years in prison teaching, I set a goal to come home to Rotorua and start working with the less fortunate, the ones who are still struggling for a goal, the ones who are still struggling for a pathway, and the ones who had no culture. So I decided to start a program. I put my proposal to the parole board. After doing 5 years of my 14-year sentence, I proposed to go home and open up a program that would support offenders, as they are labelled. I hate that word. And the parole board agreed and released me after doing 5 years of my sentence. So I was released back to Rotorua. The first day I went in the probation office, celebrating my success and talking to my probation officer about my plan, and she said to me, "Won't happen, not happening here." So she gave me a written warning and told me I'm not to go anywhere near offenders. And I spoke to her. This was my plan for the parole board. She rejected it, and it took me 2 years of fighting with corrections in Rotorua before they enabled me. They finally moved aside and realised there was no such rule, and they had to let me launch my program. So I fought some battles with corrections, and I felt like I went into high risk with them. They made me work the roads because they needed to have an income. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something cultural because it was my culture that had saved me, and my culture that I was still holding on to the passion for. So after the 2-year battle, I finally launched with no money, launched with my $2,000 I had saved from working on the road. And then I started up some community-based te reo classes for koha. And I said to my students, if you've got no money, it's all good, come in if you can help koha. So I ended up working with over 85 students I had. And the koha helped me to launch my program and start to put my head and my hand and my mind into the space where I really wanted to work. So Pūwhakamua was launched in May last year. Sorry, May the year before, 2018. And I started with 6 men who are considered to be high-risk offenders, and one that had a bad history of mental health. I sort of wanted him on board because I wanted to prove that it wasn't just going to work for offenders, it was actually going to work for anybody. And we launched into just, I call my program a cultural immersion program. So we are immersed in Māori culture, and that's what's going to fix us. It's a thing that our ancestors always said, inside of our tikanga is all the answers. We may not have the answers for all the Māori, or for all the Pākehā people's problems, but we've got all the answers for our own problems inside our culture, and we've been doing it for 30,000 years. So tikanga guided me then, and it continues to guide me now with the work that I do. Although the men love the work that I do with them, it's actually good for me. It keeps me safe, keeps me enjoying what I love the most. I now have 14 men that I work with. Some of them are here, some of them are working now. Not one of them has broken the law in the last 18 months or so since we launched. No one's done it. No one's broken the law, so we ticked all of those boxes. They're all learning te reo. They're all learning to mihi mihi. They're all learning to haka. They're all learning to waiata, and they're all learning what tikanga Māori is all about. It's inside the word tika, learning what is the right thing to do. So we continue to get bounced by corrections. We continue to get accused and abused by people who don't understand what we're doing. We still got no money. We still got no funding because the funders, corrections sort of wanted to fund me, but then they wanted to take control of my program, so I wouldn't let that happen. The iwi wanted to fund me, so they gave me $300. My God. So I stopped asking them, you know, it's just like, what do you need? What do you actually need to get some support? So we reach out to different people. We go and do cope up with gangs to talk to them, talk tikanga to them. We have great success rate with our men around their drugs, their anger, their all the problems that they have. Regardless of what happens, we want to celebrate being with you guys today and letting you know that the answers lie inside our culture. I'm sure a lot of you already know that. It's not, but you know, it's not good. It's not good enough just to know that, though. You actually got to do something about it. You know, so I want to acknowledge all the people that are here today, that the kura as well that stood up earlier than us. That was so inspiring for me. Some of the men, my friend over there, Rawiri, Karina, I want to acknowledge you, my brother, for the hard work that you do as well. I see you sitting there, so ngā mihi ki a koe. And every one of you that takes some time during the day to do something about it, I want to acknowledge you. And all of you who don't take any time to do something about it, go home. Sorry, I don't mean that. Please just do something about it. You know, learn something about ourselves. And if you really want to know the shortcut to it, what is our culture all about? It's in all the songs we sing, and it's in all the haka we do. It's in all the stuff we do. But te mea nui, po te aroha. Surely you can understand love. If you can just learn how to love each other a little bit better, you'll be on the right track. It's our ancestors, a lot of people don't realise, but 150 years before our ancestors come to Aotearoa, they never ever went to war. That whole war thing started just before they came here, and it continued here, and it was an east-west war that continues here. Come on, man. We're killing each other off, and that's what's happening, is we have been colonised, and we all know that in every colonised country around the world, the final result is that all the indigenous people end up either dead or in prison. So we're getting there. We're on the final throes of colonisation, and the only act we really can do to take back our Māori, to take back our mana motuhaki, is to embrace our culture, and at the very least, if you want to call it a Pākehā word, love. So I don't want to talk about my program. I actually got a couple other men here. I want to do that because although I would love to do that, it's actually more important to them because they are the recipients of their own actions. And although I am their guide, these men work hard for what they do, and so I want to acknowledge every one of them too. And I want to acknowledge everyone who's here at Waitangi to celebrate the document that's never ever been upheld. And I want to acknowledge my panel in that here, Marius and Tanya and Tuta, that have worked hard and continue to work hard for our people. So please, people, at the very least, learn to just love each other, and if you can't love each other, then at least like each other, so we can stop fighting. So, nā mihi kia koe katoa I whakaronga mai ki tēnei. O te rangatira, nā mihi kia koe tame, me mihi atu hoki kia koe tō, me tō kaha, ki te whakamana tātou ngai Māori no reira, nā mihi kia koe te rangatira. Ka huri aku, ka hoa tu te rākau ki tōku nei hoa ko Gabe Tamati.
Tēnā koe whānau, ko Gabriel Tamati toku ingoa, ko Tongariro te maunga, ko Taupo te moana, ko Tūpare tō te iwi, ko te hioi o te tangata, te hei mauri ora. Well, I just want to keep it short and sharp. I'm a product of colonization. Well, I was. I no longer am. I'm a product of my ancestors now. Since embracing Te Reo Māori, my life has changed. You know, prior to all of this, and actually being a part of our Pūwhakamua and this Toropu, my life's been pretty shit. You know, just same old shit in here, out of jail, all of this 10-week programs, go to drug and alcohol counselling, and domestic violence, all of that stuff. You know, in no way has it helped me. Sort of just a program to tick the boxes and then you're left to go do your thing again. You know, I've got a lifetime of shit in the bucket that I've been trying to deal with. You know, and now I'm in the right place. I've got a team. I'm grateful for my rangatira here supporting me. Because for me, as a Māori, support is full time. It's never ending. It's not from 8 till 5. You know, it's an everyday thing. You know, I'm a man and I'm proud. But I got feelings and shit that I didn't know that I had because I blocked them off for so long. But embracing Te Reo Māori, learning tikanga, learning haka, learning wāta has brought me a lot closer to being feeling human. Does that make any sense? So now that I'm on my tikanga journey, I feel grounded. I feel like a somebody. I feel loved by my brothers here that they have my back every day. No matter what I'm going through, no matter where I am, they're only a call away or, well, just have to turn to my side and they're right there. But for me, you know, that's support. Māoris, you know, we work differently to Pākehā. Pākehā individuals, they work as a single person. You know, Māoris, we work together as a group, collectively. You know, we share our ideas, we sort our problems out together. You know, we're not left to go sit at home in the corner and live with it in our own head and think of how we're going to deal with it on our own. You know, we like to get it out there and then everyone has the input and then you think, holy jingos, how come I couldn't figure that out? Oh, that's right, I was left to do it on my own. So whānau, just for the ones sitting back doing bugger all themselves, you know, my rangatira never gives up. He's there all the time, there's no stopping. You don't start something and just say, oh, I can't do it today. You know, I'm finally proud of my culture. I'm proud to be Māori. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to sit in amongst all these other proud Māoris who hold their heads high and all look at each other and smile and, you know, out there in the public eye, I used to look at it like, hold my head down and ashamed to be a Māori, I don't know why. But now my vision and my eyes are open to different things. You know, as soon as I started embracing our culture. So, you know, if anyone out there struggling, you might want to take a step back and actually really start thinking about who you are, where you're from, and what are you doing to give back to your own people. You know, action it, don't talk about it. We have a whole lot of talking but no action going. But for me, whānau, you know, if you're looking for a way out and you're struggling like some of us were, you know, look back to your culture. I'm a Māori, I'm proud to be Māori and Māori ora whānau.
Tēnei te mihi aroha ki a koutou, ko karapiripini mai I tēnei wā, ko Hiruine Rātatia hau, no Rotorua, no Te Arawa, no Ngāpui ahau. Manahua, manahua. Manahua te tapu o matua te kore, manahua te tapu o matua te pō. Manahua te tapu o matua te ao, manahua te tapu o matua te hawa. Manahua te tapu o matua te iki e. These words were left for us by our tūpuna. Simple words that we use on our course to help us move forward. Manahua te tapu o matua te kore. Master yourself. That's what we're here for on our course, to master ourselves, to become better men, to become better fathers, brothers. Just leave our past behind and move forward, and we do that through the help of Billy and our reo and our tikanga. Something that I'd never had in my life. It was all new to me and I love it. You know, I'm living it, I'm breathing it. Mana hua te tapu o matua te kore, mana hua te tapu o matua te pō. Grow yourself. I heard a wise lady say to me that I am a seed that was sown in Raiatia, and I can never be lost unless I choose to lose myself and forget who I am. But I don't do that anymore, because here with my brothers and Billy, we work as a ropu and as a team, and we move forward and we grow ourselves. We set goals, we aim for them, and we achieve them. Mana hua te tapu o matua te ao, bloom yourself. We bloom ourselves through learning our reo, through our waiata, through our haka, through our sharing of life together and growing together. We set our own rules and we self-manage ourselves as a team. We know what's right, we know what's tika, we just make sure we do it. Mana hua te tapu o matua te hawa. Fulfill yourself. That's what I'm doing right now, sitting here talking to all you people like I never thought was something I would ever do. But here I am doing it. I'm fulfilling myself. Mana hua te tapu o matua te iki e. Complete yourself. I don't know what that means for me personally moving forward, but I know that it doesn't mean the life that I've had in the past. And I don't want to talk about that, because we're here to talk about moving forward. And I just want to thank all my brothers here that are with me, supporting me. I can feel your wairua coming through me and helping me get through this. Billy, for everything you do. Kia ora whānau.
Ko whakapukanuku te maunga, ko Ngāti Kahungunu te iwi, ko Mark Dennehy ahau. I jumped on this waka with Billy 18 months ago. I'm sort of been in and out of rehab all my life and battled drugs and addiction. That's something that I've fought my whole life through depression and bits and pieces, but it's something that at the end of the day, it's instead of going to jail, it's a battle that a lot of our kids are going through, a lot of our brothers and sisters and all that sort of thing. And they end up, at the end of the day, with addictions, with suicides, with depression, and in the end up in jail. That's, to me, sort of what colonisation is. I was born up in white man's world. No idea I was Ngāti Kahungunu till I was 30, 40. It was something that I wish I learnt at school. Jumping on this program has taught me more about my culture and my background, and to be honest with you, has brought me, I don't know whether it's just because I'm older or wiser, but it's got me out of my depression, it's got me happy, it's got me doing something that I really love, working with these men, and I'm in a really, really, really good place. And that is nothing that I had at school, that's nothing that that's nothing that, I was no good at school, I had nothing. And what I've found in the last 3 years is a positive, good place, and that's through being Māori, that's through my heritage and loving life. And thank you.
Ko Rodney toku ingoa, ko te aro te waka, ingataha te maunga, Waititi te awa, tono hopu te marae, te aro te iwi, nā te whakau e te hapu, ko Rodney toku ingoa, tonu i te whānau. Waitangi. I've been on the streets since I was a 12-year-old kid. I've fought and seen what the white man, Pākehā and colonisation has done since the 1800s. We can go take it back to 1500. I'm still living that life, seeing 1 to 5, 1 to 3 kids getting neglected, rejected, like our brothers have said. Still today, in society, and just around the corner, next door, across the road, it's happening. That's my reality. I face it every day. We all face it every day. Sorry. Well, we travelled, man, we conquered that ocean out there, and you know, I'm still walking around on land trying to find where I am. If it wasn't for Billy and this merge program, cultural thing that's going on, it's the only door that's open, opportunity-wise, that I've come home to since coming back homeless from Australia. Find myself on the streets, living under the bridge for 2 years. I stole bread to feed my family. I stole my kids' shoes so they could go to school with who's. Hey, I can't talk, I've got none on. I used to run along school and open my jumper up and ask every Pākehā kid, can I have your apple core? Can I have your orange skins? And I survived, and I'm still here living today. We're all here living today as a proven fact of that poverty and just stink dumb ways, not having good parents as good role models. They were always there, they always fed us, but you know, there was only one bread to fight over in the packet. Yeah, 12 years old, I ran away from my father and I took off to Australia to make a new life for myself, start a family, get away from the gang scenes of Aotearoa. I found myself digging the ditch so fast. I was only 15, and the struggle in my mind back in the 90s was, for survival was go and hurt someone, do a snatch and run, go and rob a house, or just go and whack some tourists over for fun for $2 down at Kuire Park. That's what we used to get up to. And it wasn't, no, I'm not proud of what we done, I'm not proud of anything, but I did learn from my past, and I always remember where I come from, using, your whakapapa, saying that in real or Pākehā, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you always got to come back home and lie in your bed. It's been 35 years, or 33 years, sorry, since I've been back home, up north. Half of my whānau are Puata family, my mum's a Porter, down from Moenumotu. So half of you, I sort of already know, through the Wairua. And I feel you. And you know, the aroha in this group, this rōpū pūwhakamoa, thanking you for acknowledge the Burun's rōpū too. I feel the aroha, like in this rōpū. I can't find it in a jail, I can't find it at the police station, I can't find it even in my own home. You know, all my family too wasted to listen to me. So being on the streets, I taught myself, educated myself how to play a guitar. And here I am, Waitangi, playing for Pūwhakamua, now facilitating the music in the Waiata for Urimu and our group. He's opened up the door. You know, hope doesn't stop here. Hope, hope. They try to change those words around and trick us, not. So, you know, if we're giving our kids hope, it's in our reo, it's in our language. Hope. It's right there. The answer's right there. No, to make a stand. This is what we learned. This is what our reo brings us. It dignifies who we are, signifies who we are as being, as a multicultural place. And yeah, I just want to leave you with one thing. If it wasn't for my brothers, I wouldn't be here today. So kia ora whānau, Vicky's, and hopefully he's invite us back for the next Waitangi. Cool. Muri ora.
Papa te whātitiri hi pui ko te uire kana pui te rangi rauanga te whenua ti hei Māori o ngā. Te mihi tuatai ki te mana whenua nei. Tura te mana tangaro anu ako. Nā hiwi huri noa, ti te ao ti te pōngā mi. Mihi whakahira ki a koutou. Nā tāhua kauai. I tiroha mai rā. Pai te mihi ki a koutou. Nā tāhua ke. E mana wahine ke. Tā mi ki a koutou. Ki a koe hoki. Te maunga, pai araha. Pai na puati. Pai na keretanga. Kai te mihi au ki a. Ahuria ki te reo parawa. Ki te mui o koutou. Tōku kōrero. Kare pirangia ki te tū te papa. Kare au i te tito ki rapa. Kia ora koutou. Ko Māki o Roputini a hau. E heke te toto nei i nuku tere me te mātātua tāki timu waka. I māre nā hau nā puti a nā pui no mga muki aia. O te whānau karanga, ai te mihi. Heo i hinga i ai, i mate i ai. E ringa nā tau e pahuri atu i tōna mata. A tanu ia ai i tōna urupa ako māmere, kei mamere. And when she died, hey, that was my rock on me. That was when I realised te mana te wahine. I was over, man. Didn't know how. Didn't know. And kind of still don't. But learned. Koe nā te kōrero a ane. Te wahine tō. So you learn. You gotta watch them, you gotta learn and realise, they know, man. Always know. Even back in the day.
Oh, hang on. So sorry, I think we
get away from it. So there was that. What I've learnt in the last 2 weeks, how to flip the system, how to flip the system. We're moaning about this. Policemen fucked us up. They hasn't given us a chance. It's the voting. I didn't know that. Hey, I didn't know that you tick a box, but you follow that tick. You don't just tick it and walk home and moan because it's not happening. And you get enough numbers to do that. Hey, you get enough numbers, staunch numbers, it'll work, man, it'll flip. The whole system will flip. That's what I learned. I learned that. Uru nā wiki pāwiria. So that's that. I'm not even a speaker. No. Just get up and looking at people and then you go, oh, okay, geez, man. Nothing much to say, nothing much to say. Maunga tangi wha te maunga, eh? So we got to tick the box. Tā mana wahine, that's about it. That's about it. I roll with the bros. Why? I started 3 years ago. I haven't left. I don't want to because it's my rock. Those are my new wives. Because they give me. You go back to Māori. You don't go back to office to whatever. And you don't go back to a carpenter's belt to whatever, you go back to Tikong. And that's where I'm safe there. I'm safe there. Oku whakaaro I Māori. That's about it. Nice to meet you, nice to look at you. I do this waiata, it's a Te Arawa waiata. It's from this fella, he was a tohunga, a Ngātoro Irangi. When he went to explore our maunga, Tongariro, before it was Tongariro, he climbed the maunga and he was close to dying. So he sent this karanga out to who else? Wahine, his 2 sisters back in Hawaii. So in the background, woman saved this tohunga. He did this karanga, so he's part of it, eh? Get this away. Yeah, so we'll come down to mana wahine why he survived and why we survived. E para e ti toko te ao marama tūpungau. Ia po te ki tā whana nui no rangino. Papa he ai o tū atu te makariri. Hara mai te wera hikara tapu ai ia kau te tū. Hikara tapu ai ia te pūpū. Ia ka tapu ai ia te moata. Ia te more o te rangi e mauri ora ki a
Kia ora whānau, thank you for listening and allowing our boys and us to come here, and thank you to our hukainga for bringing us back to this kaupapa. What we would like to do is just remind our whānau that, it's all in the power of the pen. Our taiaha is now our pen, and we need to move in a different direction. Whatever that direction is, it must be good for Māori. We must consider what is going to happen for Māori. If things are going to change, legislation has to change, the government has to change. And it must be for Māori, by Māori. There is no absolute other option for us but them. So that's what one of the messages we want to send here is the vote to ensure our safety and our customary rights are protected, but that only starts with us. What that looks like depends on what our people are thinking. So kia ora whānau, just in saying that, when we talk about colonisation, we say again, at this point in time, 250 years has already gone past. We don't want another 250 years of that, and we don't want a system in place that's not for us, by us. And it will still be the same message that we wear on our backs that's always going to be delivered, and that's what we think of it. It's nothing but bullshit. So please whānau, understand the shirts, our whānau are here. We have them here, we're more about information, we're here to share that information. We don't get funded by government, our shirts are what keep us going, and that's a part of what operates for our whānau. So please tautoko and support us. Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou mā, ka mihi atu e ngā tānei kia tū i ngā kōrero ki te ngāko. Nā mihi nui atu ki te oho ngā whakaaro nui o te mauri ki roto. Nā mihi. He pātai. If you had the tools or the sharpest axe to intercede any type of proceedings that the justice delivers, would you like to exercise that well before our own go back in? That's what I'm asking. And because you are the kaitiaki of them to stop them from entering at that point where they've been gathered. And I'm saying that literally because you're wearing it. You're wearing it on your kakahu. That is the tool that will stop it in its tracks. But of course, when we stop them, we need to guide them afterwards, because they are damaged goods. Ki te mātauranga. They don't have what you have now. And have no doubt that there are many more in there that are only there parked up. They haven't been able to get access to those valued tools so that they can wear from where they're in. We're well aware of the remanding system that basically don't allow you to operate. So, and we don't really have an advocacy that can intercede the actual hurai, the pathway once they've engaged. We have lawyers in that, but they're not us. They're not us. This is what we need, is you, because you know what they're feeling. But if you're given the right tool to intercede it, and intelligently become the explanation of why you're doing this, and with what you're doing it with, then that might be able to help our own from continuing that cycle and bringing them back round to the marae or ngā kōrero ki roto, or whatever we need to be doing. So yeah, that's the question. If you had those tools, or if you were provided with a set of tools and elements that can actually do that, because it's quite a sharp axe that you will have in your, in your arsenal. And I say it because you're wearing it, but there's other things that will go with it. But we know it couldn't.
I think we already got the tools.
Okay.
We already got the tools at our tikanga. So I think what I noticed is really prominent with most of the people I work with is they lacked good mentors. Most of them didn't have a father. If they had a sperm donor, but they didn't have a father. They didn't have a father and the ones who did have a father didn't have a father that was very well behaved and wasn't a very good guide. So I think we need to stop thinking that our kids, that we're their friends and we're their parents. Stop giving them too many choices. Get out and mow the lawn. Not do you want to mow the lawn or play PlayStation. We have to go back to what worked for us older ones. We know we got respect, we got manners. We learn to eat what's put on the table. Not do you want this, do you want McDonald's or do you want Burger King. We're giving them too many choices. Get out and bloody do what you're told. Start demanding discipline from our children when they're young, because when they turn 15 they go like this. And then it's too late. Because all of us, we were all young kids too. And we didn't have very good guides, so we just did what we wanted to do. And sometimes you just can't do what you want to do, you've got to do what you have to do, eh? So I think we got to, as elders, we've got to learn to be better parents for our kids. And sometimes it means there's going to be some tears. But some tears now rather than some tears later is probably good. But we need to learn to look after our friends a little bit better. We need to learn how to respect and look after our parents better, look after our neighbours, look after the people we meet in the street. We have to start treating each other a little bit nicely, and a bit nicer, otherwise by 2040 we'll all have guns. So I say we have to be aware, we have to just take things back a little bit to where we were younger, because that's what's going to work for our kids, that's what's always worked for us. So our tikanga.
Kia ora tātou. I should have interceded with something like, from stopping them going to a normal court and manoeuvring round to a koti marae.
Okay, so
sorry about that.
If I had to say, I'd get rid of some of the judges that are sitting on the benches now because they're done. We've got men that have come on our program, we've actually changed their lives, we've rebuilt their families, we've changed their values and everything, and that they offended 2 years before and come to court. No matter what we do, we've got one down from 12.5 years to 4.5 years. But 4.5 years is 4.5 years, eh? Still jail. Like that judge should, he was not going to entertain the fact that man had changed his life. He was serving his community. We lost another one to jail the other week because he got into court 15 minutes late. And he was going into plead guilty to all his charges. He had put up a negative drug sample. He had started to mentor 2 of these other men. He had changed his life. The judge threw him in jail because he was 15 minutes late into court, and I just about threw my colonised toys out of the cot again, because that's not acceptable. Because there's still people, eh? And you know how much harder it's going to be to get him to come out of jail and carry on changing his life? It's going to be twice as hard second time round. I think we've got some great young lawyers coming through, and we've got some great young judges coming through, and we've got some, dare I say, we've got some great young policemen coming through too. But it's going to take a combined effort by a whole lot of us to change the system, because we're still sitting here 2 years later we listened to a Prime Minister that said rehabilitation over punishment. When's that going to happen? I don't want to wait till 2040. I want it now, because these men here, I've already put in all the effort into them. I need it to happen now. At the very least, I need the courts just to let us continue to do what we're doing. Just leave us alone. But they're firing them into jail even after they're all doing so well with us, and I'm sort of over it, eh? But I'm going to carry on. And so while we're here, I got to see my whanau there, Lance. I want to acknowledge you, my brother, for all the hard work that you do for our people too. I know you get it left, right and centre, but bro, we're so proud of you, bro. We need people like you, eh? And I also failed to acknowledge some of my mentors that were here when I was up in the north here that aren't here anymore. Some of you may know him, Te Tualomo, who was a great mentor for me as far as all of the mentor stuff went. And Paulie Lenore was my best friend for 3 years before he passed away, and he gave me a lot of the information that I got. Also Harry and Aaron Clark. I just want to acknowledge them here too for all the hard work that they put into me, because it's their hard work that allows me to continue to do what I do. So these boys, they want to do fellas a haka. So we do the old the haka. I don't like too much haka and taiaha stuff, because it reminds me of the stuff that we don't need to be doing. I want more karaki and more waiata. But we can't deny that two is inside of us all. Two is an emotion that we need to be taking care of. So this haka is called hoake. It's a war haka. Billy. But we're going to war. We know who the enemy is. Billy. We're going to war.
Pai anei a kōrero ana. Kia ora tātou. Ko Lance Sullivan tōku ingoa. No ngō Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Maru ki Hauraki. Mihi ana ki a koe, Billy. He uri o Riparata. He uri o Ngāti Whakaue. I tino mihi tēnei ki a koe. Koutou hoki ngā tuakana. Mihi ana, ka tika ngā mihi kia koutou. Kia ora. Look, I just wanted to share a little bit about how I know Billy. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. Billy, you were in Ngāwha, eh? And Billy got hold of me and said, hey bro, can you come down and do a kōrero to some of our young people in the Ngāwha correctional facility? I said, yeah, I'll come down. Are you going to be there? Yep. So we arranged to come down. I come down. Billy had been transferred. And but instead of you leading us there, Billy, I had this amazing kōrero with all these young Māori boys who were in Ngāwha about where they're at their journey. And but what was really awesome, I had the opportunity to experience what Billy was doing with our tāne in the Hinaki. And what was really special is I actually was walking down the streets of Kaitaia a couple of weeks later, and I saw some of those young men. Now I just want to share with you, I recently, about 6 months ago, I was asked to go and support a young Māori boy in Mount Eden who was going up for parole. And so I went there, I looked into his case, we did a lot of tautoko, we wrote a lot of submissions to help get this young man paroled. It was in Mount Eden. He ended up getting transferred to South Auckland Correctional Facility, and the parole hearing was a disgrace. You know, the parole hearing, we went along, about 4 or 5 of us with our really good plan. He was going to come and live with me. And I was going to mentor him, and we had people who were going to help him with jobs and employment. He ended up sitting in front of a video conference with 3 old white people that were remote to him. And when we asked them what their decision was, that he was declined parole, so he had to wait till this year, which is about 8, 9 months away. When we asked, had they looked at their submission, we'd spent a lot of time writing, they hadn't even read it. And the submission was that he would be spending time with people like me and others, that we were going to wrap around him to give him a chance, because he wasn't a bad person, he was a good person, made poor decisions. And so look, that's the nature of the system you're working with, which is, you know, it's so impersonal. These people are so disconnected from this 23-year-old Māori boy. The funny thing was, it wasn't the first time I'd been in Mount Eden prison. I was there about 8 months ago, but the first time I was there, I was 3. I was 3, and does anyone know why I'd be there when I was 3 years of age? Because I was visiting my father. My father was one of 18, and they endured poverty of spirit, poverty of wealth, poverty of culture, and all of those things are rich and fertile grounds for social dysfunction. You know, violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, crime, and massive underachievement. I was about 5 when my mother came home one night to pick up to relieve my father, who was babysitting, to find my 6-year-old sister pouring beer into the jugs of all the uncles at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, that's a high-risk environment, but these are the things that are a product of colonisation, right? Now the thing is, what would change, because I went through a series of issues that are just like the bros up here, right? And probably did some of the naughty things some of the bros have done. And but what's the difference between you and me is like paper thin. The only thing that's different is that I had that opportunity at an early stage of my life to learn about tikanga. When I was 15, when I went to Hato Pētera and I learned about being Māori, I was able to go from being down this track, which I would have been sitting up on stage with you fellas, down to this track where I'm standing next to you, right? And so I guess it's all about getting tikanga and our culture and our pride back into our people. Now on the colonisation front, there's a few sort of people of the paler complexion sitting in this tent. And you know, they're going to be sitting a little bit uneasy here, but it's a reality for those of us that have lived it. But the thing is, you're part of the solution. You know, the problem is historical, but you're part of the solution. And so we have to bring these people with us on this journey, because breaking down a system like colonisation is going to take, you know, the majority of the country to get on board. So, you know, my plea today is not to my whanaunga here, is to those that aren't come through our ngāpui and our whakapapa lines, to go back and tell your story, tell this story to your friends, to say this needs to change. Because the other thing is, the thing that's amazing about these men is that when you are completely broken and shattered, can you rebuild? Okay, now the challenge there is there are some people that are going along and are broken, but they haven't got to that point, they're completely shattered, where they know that they need to rebuild, and that's, I think, a bit of a challenge. Anyway, brothers, I just want to say you inspire me, and proud of you. Kia ora tātou.
Whānau, while we're getting ready, I just want to acknowledge the kids that came with us late yesterday, Hazel and Cruz, and young Puhi and Hendricks, and also my partner Rose to the city to support us today. Just want to acknowledge them. And just quickly about the haka, Moake is a haka, it's called a war haka. We're not going to war to kill people, we're going to war to kill our bad habits and our addictions. So these men have taught us about strangling that stuff, and this is our challenge to you, this haka. It's the challenge to you guys to go to leave this forum today and do something a little bit different so that we can just uplift our culture a little bit, uplift our tikanga. And even if we just have to do it by using that word love a little bit more, so ngā mihi kia koutou. Ana pātia! Ho ka neke tātou, ki te papahatea, haku matauena, ki te riri ki te ki te turakina ki au, ki te pakahira ki au, ana, ka te rimoina, kei te makiriri ahau, kei te wea taku tinanga, ana he, toko kore reina, taku mana wawera, taku i oke taku wata wata, ka puehu, no te papa, ka puehu, no te papa, ka puehu, no te papa ia hau. Orangi nui ki runga, ko papatu anu ki raro, ko ngā tangata ke wainga nui ara tu tiri whaki whakamaua ki a tuina. Tuina!